Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
So far in the book of Ruth, we saw how Ruth cared for her mother-in-law. Now in chapter 3, Naomi shows her concern for Ruth. In verse 1 we read, "One day Ruth's mother-in-law Naomi said to her, 'My daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for.'" You see, Naomi by this time knew that she was old and her days are numbered. So, Ruth must find a home where she will be taken care of. Even though Naomi is happy that Boaz allowed Ruth to gather fallen grain in his field, she knows that this cannot be always the life for Ruth. Something permanent needs to be done. So, Naomi comes up with a wise plan to help Ruth. Friends, back in those days, there was a system in families and tribes. If any woman in a tribe or family became a widow, then one of the family members will step in and take her into their home, or better, marry her. In the Old Testament, this concept was called as a kinsman redeemer. This means a close male relative will hold the legal right and responsibility to rescue, defend, or buy back a family member who has fallen into debt, danger, or destitution. By this custom, a vulnerable family member was protected, and the family land stayed within the tribe. In Leviticus 25 and Deuteronomy 25, we are told about this custom. If a man fell into poverty and had to sell his ancestral land, the kinsman redeemer would buy it back so that the land remained within the family clan. If a relative became so bankrupt that he had to sell himself into slavery to pay off his debts, again the redeemer would pay the price to purchase his freedom. If a married man died without children, his kinsman would marry the widow. The first son who will be born in this new marriage would carry the deceased man's name and inherit the family property. By this, the dead man's legacy will be kept. But there were 3 strict requirements for this. Number 1, the kinsman must be a close blood relative. He must not be a distant cousin or stranger. Secondly, he must have the financial resources. He must be able to pay the debt or purchase the property. Thirdly, he must be completely willing to do this. No one can force it upon him. In this story, Boaz meets the first 2 requirements. He is a very close blood relative of Naomi. Number 2, he is very wealthy. He is able to buy back the land of Naomi. But whether he was willing, Naomi and Ruth are not sure. Therefore, Naomi and Ruth take the initiative. In the story in chapter 3, Ruth goes and lies down at the feet of Boaz. In verse 9, she tells Boaz, "I am your servant Ruth. Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family." Friends, we must be careful not to question the morality of Ruth here. In the next verse, Boaz himself says, "You have not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor." And in verse 11, he says, "You are a woman of noble character." Friends, Ruth only conveyed to Boaz by this action that he is the family's guardian redeemer and he can show her mercy. Ruth did not force him or manipulate him to marry her. She left the choice to him. You see, being widows and women without no one to take care of them or speak for them, Naomi and Ruth had to take matters in their own hands. And Boaz, being a godly person, said in verse 13, "Stay here for the night, and in the morning I will talk to the other person who is actually your guardian redeemer. If he redeems you, let it be. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it." You see, Boaz showed his willingness to not only marry Ruth, but also buy back the ancestral property. In verse 15, we read that he gave 6 measures of barley to Ruth. That was 6.5 liters of barley, nearly 3 times more than she had gleaned on the first day. Friends, Boaz literally saved Ruth and Naomi. In the New Testament, Jesus, our Lord, became our kinsman redeemer. And we should add that Jesus, our Lord, was a better kinsman redeemer than Boaz. Jesus took human flesh to come and redeem us. And through his life and blood on the cross, he paid the spiritual price to rescue us from slavery to sin. He was not forced to do it, but voluntarily and happily chose the cross out of love for us. And our Lord Jesus restored our lost eternal inheritance. And therefore, my friends, today we are redeemed and we have an inheritance in glory. Jesus, our Lord, has become our kinsman redeemer, and through him we have a great future.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.